No, Greg Cody is hovering over the penalty minute thing. This would be the most delayed penalty in the history of delayed penalties. What are you threatening to press there? What are you doing? What are you threatening to press? No, don't do that.
Wow.
Minor penalty, 2 minutes. Accidental racism.
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
Oh, yeah.
Tyrod Huntley.
Accidental? Had to be done.
Wow. All right. There you go. That's how we're starting today, huh?
How about me and my dad getting haircuts yesterday without knowing we were getting haircuts? A couple of Codys just randomly getting haircuts.
Yeah, well, you knew I was because I asked you about the number thing.
That's true. I forgot about that.
Wait,
part,
hold on
though.
a second. Like, you showed up separately to the barber?
Well, we don't go to the same place.
Oh.
Yeah.
What'd you get, a 3?
My dad goes to Supercuts.
Why not? Why don't you guys go to the same place?
Why are you making fun of that? It's a $20 haircut.
Hold on,
What
that's
can I tell
true?
you?
That's where you go?
Yeah.
It's $20?
A couple of Codys literally cutting it up.
There you go.
That's
it's actually
beautiful.
$23, which is an outrage. There 20 minutes. It costs more than $1 a minute to get a haircut.
You still tipping
nowadays.
like it's the 90s?
Yeah,
No,
what's the
I-
tip situation?
I tip generously.
What's that mean?
You know, $5.
I'm surprised you're a Supercuts man. I always had you as like a guy that went to an old-fashioned place with a barber pole outside.
Get a beer.
Maybe some people singing a barbershop quartet.
Yeah. I don't want to be around the guy who slaps the leather strap with a...
That was my next thought.
with a
A dude that
knife
sharpens his straight-edge razor with a leather strap and takes it straight to your face.
That's where I go, oddly enough.
I don't know that guy. He could be a serial killer.
I thought about that yesterday, getting my beard done where he's doing the razor thing, and then I'm like, he could kill me.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
that occasionally, and then I Google it. How many times does this happen? Yeah. Barbers, you can trust them.
Well, Sweeney Todd.
Mm-hmm.
When's the last time, Greg, you got a hot shave at the barber?
Well, you know what Supercuts does now? They put the hot towel on you afterward.
Wow, they spare no expense.
Yeah, I mean, it's nice.
Do those towels come cleaned, or do you know?
Hey, you don't know. You, don't
You
know
can
what
tell. I one time got a dirty towel on my face. I'm like, this is the last time
You
you'll
could smell it.
ever
You're
see
like,
me.
oh, this smells disgusting.
No, I think it was a clean towel.
Basketball, basketball, basketball. Basketball is back, Jack. Time for our favorite winter sport. The summertime is over, so let's head down to the court. Time for the tip ball. Give me fast breaks on the attack. Will you shoot a three or take it to the rack? Basketball is back, Jack. It's a dream shake down in the post, or a killer cross you love the most. When the offense tries to run and gun, is it man to man or box and one? It's big plays and talking smack. That's how you know that basketball is back, Jack. Let me hear you say basketball, basketball, basketball. Basketball is back, Jack. 360 dunks and pick and rolls. And we're gonna watch it every day till they raise the Larry O. Hard fouls and hook shots. A dagger three and hack a shack. If you say this game's the best, I'll say Zagak. Basketball is back, Jack. Basketball is back, Jack. Basketball is back. Basketball is back, Jack.
Check the box, don't be fooled. Check the box, the Rudy Roo. Check the box, don't be fooled. Check the box, the Rudy Roo. We're the Dolphins and Mike McDaniel had let us down. Now everyone's fawning over him like the new kid in town. There's only one reason so many teams would want to interview ya. It couldn't be your number one offensive mind, or that your quarterback is nothing to is everyone talking to you? There's no way we got this wrong. So why does everyone want you? I have a guess. There's no way we got this wrong.
I honestly couldn't believe Greg Cody's report yesterday from a source that he was so defensive about the sourcing that he told us exactly where the source told him the information, that the Dolphins were wondering whether McDaniel got so many interviews because he's black.
Well, don't put words in my mouth.
No, that's what you reported.
No, it is not.
What? Mike was shocked. What do you mean it's not?
He didn't say black. He said because he qualifies for the Rooney Rule.
Right.
Yeah, but that's the same thing.
Well, I mean,
Okay.
it matters. Framing matters.
No, it doesn't. That's the same
Yes, it
thing.
does.
Those things are the same thing.
No. Ron Rivera got an interview.
Hispanic.
No, but Mike McDaniel didn't get the interviews because he's Hispanic
Mario
or because
Cristobal's
he's
name was
black.
invoked.
But Cody reported that yesterday with
Would
his
you,
mind.
would you quit that?
What? You did that yesterday. You said that a Dolphin source wondered to you whether McDaniel.
Wondered to me. There's no way to know. Okay, there's no way to know. Okay, use your common sense. He qualifies under the Rooney Rule. He's an available coach who's pretty good, particularly as an offensive
Use
mind.
my common sense. He's white.
Not according to the
that's not
Rooney
true.
Rule.
That's not true.
Now who's being essentially not
his
true?
Honestly,
his
Dan,
father-
be careful.
That's
not-
more
Dan,
racist
be
than what
careful.
you
Yeah,
did
that's
yesterday.
really bad. Honestly, genuinely apologize.
Seriously, you need to
Genuinely
apologize.
apologize.
Quickly.
His father is
He's
black.
not.
Jack.
He's not.
Finally.
I'm sorry
There you go.
Okay.
for both the comment and the confusion. The reporting that should have been national news is that you said that somebody wondered that, and that can't be possible. Not that somebody wondered it. It can't be possible that Mike McDaniel would qualify under the Rooney Rule for accurately being able to be something that helps with diversity for minorities, because McDaniel's getting the interviews that used to go to the coaches who would complain, why am I having to fill out a form about whether or not I'll work on Sundays? This is not a serious interview we're doing.
Right, and Bulletin, the Rooney Rule doesn't really work well. It's great in concept, but teams misuse it all the time. I'll give you a quick example. The Miami Dolphins interviewed their two black candidates immediately before hiring Jeff Hafley. Okay, immediately before. Now, I'm not saying they were token interviews, but the implication is there, and teams do that all the time. So if you're Mike McDaniel, you have twice as much chance of gaining interest to be interviewed if you also qualify under the Rooney Rule. It makes common sense. The common sense factor is all that my source said. And by the way, I heard that from another reporter who covers the Dolphins full time, not with the Miami Herald.
That's double source.
Is that double sourced? Is that now double sourced? Because I think hearing it from another reporter doesn't make it double sourced,
No,
unless that reporter has a source.
I'm just telling you that I had heard it before I approached the Dolphin executive.
I don't know if you understand the way journalism reporting goes, but when you have the information come from two different places, that makes it a legit report.
But it's not a report because I'm passing along a supposition.
You heard from league sources.
I heard from a Dolphin source that the suspicion is one of the reasons Mike McDaniel was so popular in interviews is that he also qualified under the Rooney Rule in addition to being a qualified candidate as a great offensive mind.
I am surprised that that has not yet become national news.
It was actually Pro Football Network reported it.
Pro Football Network.
Yeah, PFN.
Where is that?
It's some website. I don't know.
Yeah, it is. I can
So does
confirm it
some
is some website.
Thank you.
Okay, some website.
Thank
That
you.
doesn't seem like great sourcing.
No,
You're-
but it is some website.
Yeah, if you have initials, you're legit. If you call yourself PFN, it means you're legit.
The big story of the day in sports is Bill Belichick not making the Hall of Fame, and a whole lot of people are angry about this. Do you know how hard it is to get Jimmy Johnson to be this kind of angry on social media?
By the way, Pro Football Network has 1.4 thousand followers on Twitter.
There you go.
So it hasn't become national news yet. It's just a random website.
I'm
and-
with it is some website. There's nothing that he
I
said.
love how
that
my
was
dad
wrong.
took that as a
SW.
victory.
Yeah.
It's not a big-
Hello.
no, I'd rather it not be reported.
No, the 1.4 thousand. You're like, yes, see?
What do you mean you'd rather it not be reported?
Because
You reported it.
I don't consider speaking in a conversation as reporting it.
You said a source told me. Like what? That's reporting. A
live
source.
show.
A source told on a bigger show than Pro Football
I
Network.
get what he says though. Don't you ever like accidentally say something here that may be too transparent, and then like someone seizes on it, aggregates it, and you're like, "That's not what I meant, really."
Okay.
I wish you just kind of skim past this one.
I'm surprised I have to explain this to Le Batard, who used to be a journalist. When a source tells me the suspicion within the Dolphins or within this source is that this may have been a factor. Not that it was, because there's no way to prove it was a factor. If you ask the Miami Dolphins or any team, hey, did you really seriously consider these two black candidates, or was it a Rooney Rule thing? You're not going to get a truthful answer in all cases. So when the Dolphins suspect that Mike McDaniel got more interviews probably than was imagined, maybe it was the fact that he also qualified under the Rooney Rule.
Okay, but what you're reporting is news. It's surprising to me that you don't understand that it's news when you report it from a source.
If someone in the Dolphins organization thinks, obviously it's not provable.
Right.
If someone in the Dolphins organization thinks that that's what happened there, that's news.
Members of the Heat organization thought that LeBron quit in the last finals before he left for Cleveland. That's news.
News.
If they think he did, yeah.
And they got very mad at Dan for saying that. Hugely pissed.
And as they should have. I wouldn't want that out.
But that's news. When people inside an organization that you're lending your credibility to their credibility, I'm surprised that we have to explain any of this to you as the reporter on this.
Right.
Anyway, moving on to the Belichick
This is
story.
all the fault of DEI.
You guys are playing tennis. I'm surprised I have to explain this to you.
No,
And
I'm
you-
surprised.
No, I'm surprised I have to explain this to
Why is
you.
everybody paying attention? Who's a surprise backhand?
Who's more surprised?
He's just that he's that bad at reporting news over the years because he's been giving it. No, he doesn't
That
do
wasn't
news.
news. That was conjecture.
He doesn't do news. He does columns. He's not in the information business.
That's exactly. Mike is exactly right. What I reported was conjecture, not news. Okay, if it's news, I'm gonna either write it in the Herald or I'm gonna tell one of our Dolphin guys,
Or put it on your pod.
or say it on. No, I wouldn't even. I didn't think
Almost
it was
got
that.
him.
I didn't and don't think it's a big deal. Okay,
The
what we
conjecture
discussed
is the
yesterday.
news, though.
Yeah.
Now you're being racist.
Well, he
He's
doesn't
right.
see color.
No, I don't think it's a big deal.
It is a
Here's
big deal.
here's how you hedge your bets. Say they believe it might have been a contributing factor.
That's exactly right.
But that's not what you said.
That is what I said.
That's what he's saying now.
All right, moving on.
Please.
Jimmy Johnson says angrily of the Bill Belichick thing on Twitter, this is just wrong. Number 2 winning all time, more Super Bowls than anyone unimaginable, number of division championships, lots of small jealous voters. I would like to know the names of the assholes who did not vote for him. They are too cowardly to identify themselves. Please, if you did not vote for Bill Belichick, identify yourself. Many explanation points. Probably too much of a coward. Hide behind your secret ballot, and then secret ballot is capitalized. Is there anyone arguing the other side of this? Have you guys heard someone take the position? I understand why it is Bill Belichick is not in the Hall of Fame on the first ballot.
Look to your left.
Calls coming from inside the house.
Well, but Bill Polian is it's being reported that Bill Polian is the one with the bias here and also the integrity of saying cheater, that's the reason. And it's the reason that I don't have my Baseball Hall of Fame vote. It's the reason that Greg Cody is so comfortable moralizing about this person's a first ballot Hall of Famer, but this person's not a first ballot Hall of Famer.
Right.
Because it's not a museum, it's a home of morals.
Why didn't you finish the riddle? Cheater.
I don't know the
Pumpkin
rest of it.
eater.
Dan, Bill Polian used the cheater, pumpkin eater defense, please. What does he know, by the
Well,
way? What does Bill Polian know,
Well,
Dan?
he's a 6-time executive of the year,
I got lucky with Peyton Manning?
but 6-time executive of the year.
Yeah, but he did something more racist than you, and that's tough.
That's tough.
Wow.
Mike McDaniel has been here for 3 years as a mixed race man.
How is Bill Belichick doing something? How is Bill Polian doing something more racist than what I did?
Well,
With
the
the Lamar
Lamar should only
Jackson
be a
thing.
wide receiver.
Yeah,
Remember that?
I'll let Zaz cook. The people that are caping up for him not being a first ballot Hall of Famer universally are fans of other teams in the division. And I've seen the list of first ballot head coaches. They all appear worthy. If
Here are all the people better than Belichick.
if Bill Belichick isn't what a first ballot head coach looks like, I don't know what the hell
done
we're
without
doing.
Brady. He's done without Brady. The loser before Brady, loser after Brady, a loser at UNC. You want to talk about coaching your way out of the Hall of Fame? See what happened at UNC? See what happened at the end of his time in New England?
Okay, let's go to some more credible sources on this subject that are slightly less biased than Dolphin fan Jonathan Zaslow. Okay, we gathered that you're enjoying Bill Belichick.
Committee got it right.
Did they? Okay, I don't think that many people believe that the committee got it right, but the parts that I want to parse with you guys is we obviously don't know football a fraction of the way that Bill Polian does. We cannot assess how the guards played in the game that we just watched over the weekend that decided everything. Nobody here understands, even after Ted Wells did that $5 million report, what it is that the Deflategate advantage would or wouldn't be. But clearly, Bill Polian thinks that it's what toppled Peyton Manning. Bill Polian thinks that whatever cheating that Bill Belichick did is enough to... I don't think this is just pettiness with rivalry. Do you? I'm assuming that he's not guilty of simply saying, I'm a small human being. I recognize that he's a Hall of Famer. I assume
First ballot.
that he is applying a moral standard to this. No cheaters in my Hall of Fame. Am I wrong to assume that he feels like he knows how much of an advantage the cheating gave Bill Belichick to therefore make him a Hall of Famer? Barry Bonds isn't in the Hall of Fame because everyone thinks he cheated. It's obvious that Barry Bonds is the best player to ever live, top 5 if you want to argue about it, statistically, even without the steroids. We've given the stat before. It's one of the most amazing in sports. If you take away all of the numbers from all of his MVP seasons, he still has 400 home runs and 400 stolen bases, and no other player has done that. He's not in the Hall of Fame because everyone thinks he cheated. And now Bill Belichick is not a first ballot Hall of Famer because blank. The point is Bill Polian wants to make this moment, Bill Belichick in the Hall of Fame, about the cheating, correct?
Well, hold on a second. Polian is flat out denying
Correct.
his involvement.
Yes.
Like this story came out that Polian is the one who's kind of leading the charge that he should be punished because of Spygate. And then you had several reporters who got a hold of Polian last night, and Polian is saying it's flat out false. But then also you're getting this where Polian added he could not remember with 100% certainty if he voted for Belichick. How do you not remember?
How do you not remember?
He said he was 95% sure.
How do you not remember?
He couldn't remember what he voted Andrew Jones.
That's
what are we doing here?
Yeah, 6 years ago.
But he's denying it. He's denying that he was part of it.
This is petty BS.
Yes.
It's people with an axe to grind. Like, okay, I understand the Super Bowl tape that was burned in a fireplace of the alleged recorded practice and Deflategate. Deflategate, remember when Bill Belichick had that press conference, he put the onus on Tom Brady. I don't think anybody's going to hold that against Tom Brady. This is largely media, largely with an axe to grind against Bill Belichick. Yeah. And it's unfortunate that he has to be punished by gatekeepers here.
Is it unfortunate?
Right. Yeah, I do think it's unfortunate because I believe him to be the most successful coach in the history of the sport. And you want to say, like, what has he done without Tom Brady? He won 2 Super Bowls without Tom Brady as a defensive coordinator. As a pro coach under Bill Parcells, one of those with Jeff Hostetler. He has quite the friggin' resume, and it's BS that he's not first ballot.
These people are all capable of high school pettinesses, okay, no matter how old they are. Bill Polian is 83 years old. It's an age where you could forget if you voted for Bill Belichick.
Oh, for sure. No, you couldn't.
You're not 83 yet. 83, I found with my parents, who are both in that realm, you can absolutely, at 83, forget some very simple things with age.
Let me get this straight. The vote just happened. Okay, we're not asking Bill Polian to recall something from 5, 7, 8 years ago. The vote just happened.
I'm with my dad on
and
this.
you're
really
telling
good
me
point.
Bill Polian can't recall.
He's pretty sure.
He shouldn't be voting then.
Have you watched a Trump press conference?
Also agree with that.
He shouldn't be voting. If he can't remember, if he can't go through a cognitive test of did you vote for Bill Belichick 16
let's not do
minutes
cognitive
ago?
tests.
Jeremy, please. If you can't recall, if you did something 16 minutes ago, you should not be
I
voting.
agree.
He's 95% sure he voted for Belichick.
I'm 95% sure I had a hamburger for dinner last night.
So the place, though, that I land on this as we talk it out, because I do believe that no matter your age, especially among men specifically, men with ego in sports even more so, you can be high school kind of petty into your 80s. And Jerry Jones, it's been reported, is keeping Bob Kraft out of the Hall of Fame. And I wouldn't be surprised if Bob Kraft, who made a 10-part documentary about how Bill Belichick wasn't responsible for all of those championships.
You're really boiling that 10-part docuseries down. I don't, there are some people out there that would push back on that being the takeaway.
On the 10-part
Yes.
series, you think Bill Belichick enjoyed how he was chronicled
No,
in the
look,
10-part series made by Kraft with Apple?
I did not see any of the 10 parts. I just know that there is a people that buck up against that notion.
I have heard of very few of them. Maybe they are at the Pro Football Network. It seems pretty obvious that was a hit job by Kraft because he had the means to do that to Belichick at a time we weren't soiling Belichick's legacy. Like, it was fairly shocking to watch the truth told that way, and it was clear that Kraft was responsible. But it's been reported Jerry Jones is keeping Bob Kraft out of the Hall of Fame. When the sleuths, the Pablo Torres of the world, go sniffing around, if it's not Polian, if it's not Kraft, then who? There's no reason.
It could still be Polian. Polian could still vote for Bill Belichick and also be a respected voice in the room saying, hey, just for your consideration, I don't want to be the only guy in the room that says this, but he did have the 2 cheating scandals, so do with that what you will.
By the way, we don't know the number, but there were at least 11 people who didn't vote Belichick. It wasn't like it needs to be unanimous and Polian's the only one. We don't know the actual number, but we know at least 11 people did not vote
And so
Belichick.
is there any sane, reasonable human being without biases saying that makes sense? Is there any? Can you give me a person publicly putting their voice without biases who has their sanity still saying that it makes sense in any world for Bill Belichick to not be a Hall of Famer? Can someone give me a name?
No.
So everyone who's saying ha 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 is somebody who is biased and they're just mad because they're from the AFC East.
And Jimmy Johnson is right. The voters who voted against Belichick owe it to the league, to fans, to name themselves, to raise their hand and say, yep, I'm one of them, and here's why. That's why all ballots in every sport, all Hall of Fame ballots, should be made public. It shouldn't be. Baseball leaves it up to the voter whether or not to make your ballot public. And by the way, the Halls of Fame should not be moral halls. And I hope you didn't suggest that I think that. If I thought that, I wouldn't vote. I wouldn't have voted for Barry Bonds and Roger Clemens
originally
every year.
You didn't, though, right? I don't think you have since the beginning.
I didn't the first year I voted.
But you took a moral stand. You did that.
Okay, it's because, as I've said many times, I put a distinction on whether you're a first ballot Hall of Famer.
You took a moral stand. It wasn't because they weren't first ballot Hall of Famers. It's because you penalized them for your morally thinking they were less deserving of first ballot, not because of their merit or numbers,
and then
because of the morals.
And then voted for them.
Yeah, but you you changed your mind, but you said you've never done it, and you did do it the first time you got a vote.
Semantics.
It is semantics. I've explained this many times. The first ballot Hall of Famer is sacrosanct. Okay, I don't think Spygate is enough of a smudge to not vote for a guy who won 6 Super Bowls.
That's what they just did here. They just did the same thing you did with your first vote of a Hall of Fame ballot.
I object to the. Let's look at them separately, not lump them together. I think there's no excuse, no reason plausible to not vote for Belichick on the first ballot. Okay, I don't have a Hall of Fame vote for Canton. If I did, I would have stood up. This would have been my entire speech on behalf of Bill Belichick's candidacy.
You just got it locked and loaded, ready to go?
He won 6 Super Bowls. Thank you. Good night. And then the vote takes place. Everybody raises their hands. It's 50-0.
Well,
that should have been what happened.
But on the other side, somebody on the other side of these aren't museums, these are moral palaces. Somebody on the other side would say, I've got only one thing to say. He cheated many times.
Okay, you know what's going to happen, because a lot of voters do agree with me. You know he's going to make the Hall of Fame next year.
I don't know that.
In his second year of
The
eligibility,
Andrew Jones effect.
he will make the Hall of Fame. I don't think anybody would doubt that.
I doubt it. Look, I think everybody was shocked by this. So you saying if I had asked yesterday on the show, do you guys believe there's a 1% chance that Bill Belichick is not inducted into the Hall of Fame or nominated tomorrow? None of you would have said there was a 1% chance of that happening. And look, it just happened.
I might have raised my hand behind 1% because Spygate's a real thing. Okay, it's not enough for me to have not voted for him, but Spygate, it cost the team a first-round draft pick. The team was fined $500,000. Belichick personally was fined $250,000. Deflategate was not a big deal, in my opinion. Spygate was. So the question is, how big a deal was it?
Mm-hmm. Well, it had to have been a big deal. Deflategate. Brady got suspended multiple games. Like, it had to have been a big deal.
Okay, I'm speaking about my opinion.
But if you take those seasons away, he still has a first ballot Hall of Fame resume, and it seems as though people just want to check Bill Belichick's ego, and I feel like he hasn't had his ego checked enough over these last 2 years.
I know what we do here. We print out the ballot. That ballot that was voted on a few weeks ago with Belichick on it, we give it to my dad. He votes for who he would vote for, and at the end of the show, we see if he remembers.
Fine. I accept that challenge.
All right, let's do that. Put it on the poll. Ken, what was it, 2 weeks ago that the vote was? Ken,
yes.
Put it on the poll at Le Batard Show. Can every 83-year-old be expected to remember how he or she voted 2 weeks ago at Le Batard Show?
How did it get out? Because the guys who voted, the results are not supposed to come out yet, and the guys who voted were just finding out last night from whoever, I think it was Don Van Natta, right? Whoever came out with, or Seth Wickersham, who came out with the report that he didn't get in. Like, you could probably narrow it down to who had that information and leaked it, right?
Oh, but it's got to be shocking information. Like, whoever's been holding on to that has probably known that they have this enormous bit of news since they've had it, because I don't even know. I'm like, Cody, of course, after, you're staring at at the sea, and what emerges from the ocean is a spaceship that spits aliens at you. Cody's there to say, yeah, I knew that was going to happen. That I would have told you there was a 1% chance of that happening. Yeah. So he's here to tell you that Belichick, that he's not shocked by this. But no. I really don't feel like anybody was thinking that there was the possibility that Bill Belichick, under any circumstances, would not immediately be a Hall of Famer as soon as he qualified. Like, I didn't think that today or this conversation was a reasonable possibility.
Okay, once again, you're putting words in my mouth. If I say I would have said yes to a 1% chance, what that means is I am 99% shocked. Okay, I am 99% shocked. When I'm saying there's a 1% chance, it's that it doesn't surprise me in the least that a Bill Polian, a Robert Kraft may have called in a few chips, a few favors.
With reporters, right?
Yes,
because it's mostly reporters. It's not all reporters. It's 50 people.
Well, clearly you got Polian in there.
It's 50 people. I don't know, just so that let me frame this correctly. It's mostly former NFL media reporters. It includes Tony Dungy and Bill Polian, but not every owner. So just so you know, it's 50 people. Largely, it's former reporters.
And that's a small electorate. The baseball electorate is like 450 people. When you only have 50 people, in my opinion, you're more subject to collusion among the voters.
Oh, but Greg, though, the thing that Zaz is saying about 11, that's insane to me.
It's a lot of people.
You need 80%, right?
It's 20%. Yeah. It's 20% of the people are sitting here telling you Bill Belichick's not a Hall of Famer.
At least that.
In what world? First ballot, not a first ballot Hall of Famer. In what world?
And that to me says collusion. Listen, if you have 11 people who did not vote for a 6-time Super Bowl winner, that suggests collusion to me. That suggests that voters got together before the vote and said, you know what, let's keep him out. Here's what else is interesting to me in this. The vote is to be announced February 5th. The news leaks, and there is outrage, and the Pro Football Hall of Fame looks embarrassed and should be. Will they take another vote on this? Will they announce Belichick February 5th as a Hall of Famer and then claim that the report was false? I think
Well,
that's a possibility.
well,
A revoke completely?
You
I
think this?
that's a
Hanging
wa-
Chads?
I think
Hall of
that's a
Fame?
possibility.
You think this is outrageous enough that they will do a cover up in order to?
Yes.
That's
A recall.
journalists.
I think
Fellow
there's a-
journalists.
I think there's a possibility. I'm not. I wouldn't predict it's going to happen. I wouldn't bet that it's going to happen.
1% possibility. You'd be 99% shocked.
I think there's a 5% possibility.
This is
Okay.
being revealed on February 5th. That's when it comes
Yep,
out.
mhm.
What an embarrassing day for the NFL. No one's going to be talking about that when everyone's talking about Giannis to the Heat. February 5th, that's the NBA trade
Thank you
deadline.
for finally
No
bringing
one's
basketball
gonna
up.
care.
Jesus.
My God.
Oh,
Do
that's
me
official.
the favor, Jeremy, get the hell out of here and go to
Why
work.
I
today?
agree.
Go to work on an NBA trade board here so you can
all right, I can
finally
do that.
do something that you want to do, and I can get to you on NBA trade conversation because I know Mike wants to get to the University of Miami stuff too because they're going to be loaded again because they're whining and dining the best players that Duke has after just stealing them at Prime 112 with Edger and James. But the things that are happening here with Belichick over the last 6 years are stupefying. And I'd like our guest bookers to go after a Hall of Fame voter that can give me some insight into this, into what was happening in the room, because people, in the absence of information, people are going to go right to the conspiracies, and it's going to be Bob Kraft and Bill Polian and who did this. But if it's 11 reporters, one of these Hall of Fame voters, one of these 50 people would be able to tell us what happened here. Let's go after one of those people and see if we can get slightly more information about this within the next couple of days. Before I get to the Dolphins and Jeff Hafley saying the Dolphins will not be soft as long as he's in charge, I'll get to that sound in a second. Mike Ryan yesterday, obviously, to me, got carried away when he compares what's happening with Mensa to Curt Flood, just because Curt Flood, to me, represents as a name. I don't even know, actually, if Curt Flood was that good of a baseball player or many of his stats. He was okay, but Curt Flood represents, to me, a symbol of commerce and business that rings and echoes for 50 years because people know that name of a 70s baseball player because he changed the economics of the game.
May I walk it back then? I thought that maybe the nation's second leading passer, an ACC champion, going to another ACC school might be a tipping point on collective bargaining, in which you can invoke Curt Flood because he was an agent of change. I just think the NCAA is still making so much money that they are willing to keep this thing going, which is shoddy and bad. Quite honestly, I want the sport to be collectively bargained. I think things like Mensa happening help force that hand. When Dabo is out there calling for collective bargaining, people should listen. That is a national champion head coach who is pretty old school. But I don't think the NCAA is going to budge because the gravy train is too good.
I appreciate actually what you did with that because in real time, we had a seismic move in the business of college football that the local team, look, no matter how you want to frame this, the ACC champion, a team that has won an ACC championship game before Mario Cristobal has played in one, just had what I regard as its two best players stolen by a bigger, badder program that has always been bigger and badder at football and is now bigger and badder at business. And that's Duke. Duke's got graduates with money. Duke just lost its two players. I'd like to talk to Manny Diaz about how he feels about this. And Miami's going to be loaded next year because they just took the two best players from the team that won the conference that Miami couldn't play in the championship of.
Here's what Miami has on offense. Yes, they're losing Markel Bell and CeCe Mawanoa on the edges. Jackson Cantwell, who is being mentored by Joe Thomas, is a 5-star recruit. I assume he's going to play right away, and you have to trust that Mirabal and company will coach up that offensive line. But at the star positions, Darian Mensa is the ACC's leading passer, second in the nation behind Drew Mestamaker, right? You have
and doesn't turn the ball over very much either.
And a reigning ACC champion. You have the ACC's leading rusher in Mark Fletcher, who can also mitigate what's going on along that offensive line, which we assume might take a slight step back because he's the best pass-blocking back in the nation and an absolute dog, as Tony has pointed out off mic. And not one but two 1,000-yard receivers. One in Cooper Parkade, who's coming over from Duke, and Malachi Toney.
So they were at dinner last night. Malachi Toney was at Prime 112 with Edgerrin James and the rest of, this this recruiting class that just fell out of the sky, because it's a much easier way to scout if you can just go to the teams in your conference and be like, well, they're pretty good. I'd like that guy, and I'd like that guy.
You're making that seem a lot easier than it actually is. Like, credit to the staff. That's like, these are the guys that we want. We're going to collaborate. We're going to make ourselves super appealing to these guys, and we're going to get it done. And it's going to be messy. Not everybody has the stomach for it. Miami does.
We saw this when he was here a couple weeks ago, too, and I certainly had not seen him in a very long time. I love that Edgerrin James is like this elder statesman for the Hurricanes now. It's so cool.
Yeah, I'm not even sure he went with the caravan. that they got a police escort from the campus to Prime 112. I mean, he might have just been at Prime 112, which is a possibility. I saw all the videos. Yeah, the U signs, hand signals probably need a little work. We'll work on that. My main takeaway is, how does Malachi Toney already look 10 pounds heavier? Like, he looks beefier. Look at those biceps. This is a player that looks small on the field.
He's a growing boy. He's young. He's going to get bigger.
How do you swing a police escort to a restaurant? I'm just curious.
It's a big professional franchise.
You make one call.
It's the University of Miami. Look, man, the connection that this school and what it did to raise generations of football-loving Canes is super unusual. Not many teams have Hall of Famers like Edgerrin James whining and dining the recruits, or being mascots like Michael Irvin on the sideline. Like, the connection here is strong. Let's hear Edgerrin James here at dinner with these people, just saying, look, we got a new squad.
We got our quarterback, we got our receivers. Hey,
we got the ledge.
We're going to be back.
We got the legend.
Then we got Miles going to take good care of us. Hey, you know you be free when you win. When you win, you be free here. You know that, right?
Wait, win the whole thing? Yeah.
Miles is like, whoa.
Good job by Miles getting in there.
That hoodie that Mensa's wearing is over $1,000. Peter Rees looked it up on Canes Insight.
Let's go ahead and, if you would, please, just get the Halfley sound for me here, because he was asked by Peter Schrager about the Miami Dolphins' reputation of being soft. Oh, I aired. You know what? That was Portal Talk, and we have new imaging for the Portal Talk, and we didn't play the new imaging for the Portal Talk.
There it is.
Whenever we're talking Portal, we start talking. I feel like I'm in a portal right now.
Wait until the very end of it.
Portal. I thought it might be distracting the first time. I thought it needed a little introduction as opposed to just this falling out of the sky.
So that is just Portal-y. Yeah.
It is Portal-y.
It is Portal-y.
It is Portal-y. Yeah, it's good.
Mystical.
Yes.
If you're not sure, I'll tell you in a second.
I think Miami's going to be good. I think they're going to be pretty good. Pretty fun to watch, too. I've been watching so much Mensa tape. He's pretty good.
Me too. I actually have too. You like 4 minute. You can just go on YouTube now. Highlights, Mensa, boom, 6-minute clip.
I want to be surprised.
If you're a Duke football fan, you're wondering what the hell's going on in college football.
Yeah, and you turn around to 6 of your friends. They did us dirty.
Hell, we still have basketball.
Yeah,
that's where we took the boozers from them.
That's right.
That is true.
That's where the settlement money's going to. Their basketball team. You got us there. It's not right. Stop. Kids decided they didn't want to go to that school anymore. Have every right because they're not employees.
Before we get to the Halfley sound, though, can you guys put up our new imaging on all of the heads, the 4 heads, the 4 of the 4 heads who are running the Dolphins now, so that we can have new imaging for Dolphin Talk that is video instead of audio, because we've got some substantive 4 heads running the Dolphins, and one of them is saying, Zaslow, the head of the Dolphins is now saying, you know why we're not going to be soft? Because of me. I'm going to make sure that we're not soft. I'll play that sound for you next.
It's the service dog with Steve-O.
We are joined by a very famous persona from America, and also Steve-O, because Wendy from Peru is an internet sensation. Go ahead and tell the story, Steve-O, before we get in here. And always, thank you for making time for us. But tell us why it is that your dog is more famous than you are, because I didn't think it was allowed that you can just find a dog on the streets of Peru, fall in love with it, and then just bring it over to America. I thought, didn't Johnny Depp or somebody get in trouble for trying to bring an animal into the country without the proper permission? Like,
well, that was the other way around. He already had the dog and was trying to smuggle it into Australia. I was in Peru for a mountain climbing expedition, and I found Wendy here on the streets. And fortunately, the mountain climbing expedition was a TV show, and the production jumped through all the hoops for me. So I really didn't have to do anything, and I was able to bring Wendy home. And the video I made about finding her, it garnered over 100 million views on Facebook, making it the most viewed video I've ever put on the internet. And it's kind of devastating for an attention whore like me. You know, with the lengths that I've gone to, you know. But there it is, man. So Wendy and I, we are on a rock tour as we speak, barreling towards Syracuse for a show tonight, and we've got shows every single night in the Northeast U.S. For the next 12 days, Albany tomorrow night.
This video is adorable. Is Wendy's a service animal?
She is. You bet she is. Yeah, because I have terrible issues.
You should take more dogs, though. I mean, it seems to be working for you.
I have terrible issues is a great sentence that would explain the last 25 years of your life. You've done great sort of capitalizing on, let me take a tour bus through my terrible issues.
Right. That's about right, man. I have terrible issues.
and she brings you genuine comfort when she's not a professional service dog license, and you've got the proper paperwork. Steve-O is now a paperwork man with a legitimate service dog that he needs for comfort.
You know what? I'm gonna break your guys' heart right here. There's no such thing as official certification for a service animal. And because and I did the deepest dive, man. I found the best dog trainer on the planet, and they were the ones who told me.
This episode of the Dan Le Batard Show is presented by DraftKings. DraftKings, the crown is yours.
Nick Wright is the host of FS1's First Things First. It's very popular. He's very popular. And What's Right with Nick Wright, that is the podcast he does with his son. That, too, is very popular. He's got a lot of opinions on a lot of things, and I want to do inside and outside of sports with him. But the first thing I want to do is play this Jeff Hafley sound. The Dolphin coach says that the Dolphins will no longer be reputed to be soft as long as he's in charge. Let's listen to this sound together.
It's so damaging. When you hear the word soft, how can you kind of take that and really lean into it and say, one thing we will not be defined as soft?
Well, I think you asked me what I want this team to look like, and that's exactly the opposite of when I close my eyes and I picture what it's going to look like. I mean, I think to me, it's, after we play a team, I want them to know that they just were in a battle and it hurt, right? But I think there's one thing talking about it and the other thing is doing it. So that's why it starts April 6th when these players get here. And I will do everything in my power to make sure that nobody ever says that again.
Nice.
Hey, he doesn't have that power. Nick Wright, go ahead and tell us what your thoughts are.
Yeah,
there.
that's not going to work. Yeah, that's not going to happen. Sorry. There is a level of you are the city that you represent, and it's why I thought Mike McDaniel maybe would succeed. But I don't know that you can play professional football in Miami and over the course of the season you are going to be as tough as teams that play in Buffalo or Green Bay or Boston or Baltimore or Kansas City or Detroit. I just don't. And so I almost think McDaniel tried to lean into, we're not tough. We are just fancy and fast and fun. And God forbid we have to play a cold weather playoff game and Andy Reid has icicles falling from his mustache and I look like I just want to leave. That's a bad spot. But if we could one day get home field and then bring you guys down into Miami and you guys down into the distraction and the good weather, we'll be better equipped. So I don't know. I've been watching football my entire life. There's a lot of different ways I would describe the Miami Dolphins. Tough, hard-nosed is not one of them, and that has been independent on who the coach is.
This is an interesting theory he's floating here. He's saying you have to be in cold weather in order to be tough, partly, don't you?
Sperano's team was tough.
What, how so, Mike? Tell me. I mean, I'm going to trust your memory of this.
Ricky Williams and Jason Taylor and Zach Thomas. These were tough players.
Wildcat was like a smash mouth style.
Yeah. Listen, I'm not. It's pro football. I'm not going to argue that you can't have tough elements to it. But the argument I am making is you are never going to have the toughest team in the league in Miami. It's just not.
All right. There's a line of demarcation because Tampa has won a Super Bowl with a tough, hard-nosed defense. Like their identity, if you were to look at the Bucs franchise, say like, oh yeah, we're a tough team over our history since the late '90s.
Yes, but they got over the hump right once they brought in the offensive genius, and then they got over the hump again when they brought in the greatest quarterback of all time. They certainly did have Warren Sapp and John Lynch and Derek Brooks and some of the greatest defensive players of all time. Again, I know this is going to seem like somewhat fuzzy math, and I won't feel as silly about it being silly, given that I have, I'm going to guess 22 bouncing heads of Stephen Ross and Jeff Hafley.
4 heads.
And I'm not sure anybody else. But what I do think there is an element of the best teams take on the identity of where they're from. I don't think it's unique that the greatest USC teams of my lifetime were flashy and fancy, and the greatest Michigan teams of my lifetime wanted to beat you 10-7.
Does this apply to college? Because the University of Miami was plenty tough this last year.
It does, absolutely. So you know what? I haven't baked into the math of the transfer portal and its impact on that. And Mike knows I was a big University of Miami fan, and I hope the Kansas City Chiefs draft Reuben Bain. So I'm not quite certain. This is what I would call a loose working theory that my gut reaction says is true. That you are going to,
that's a good hedge,
in outdoor professional football, be tougher given if you have to play in bad weather repeatedly. And I think the Dolphins' path is not going to be in a division where Mike Vrabel is the head coach of one of the teams. You ain't going to be the toughest.
Oh, okay. So to clarify, because you mentioned there, it's a working theory for an outdoor sport. Like we're only talking football then, right? Because basketball,
100%.
like the Miami Heat make their bones on being physical and tough.
It has to be outdoors. Okay. And it's one of the reasons why if the NFL goes, I hate that the Chiefs are leaning towards going to a dome stadium in 6 years. The elements in the weather and being able to win in very different conditions in different ways is one of the great things about pro football. And so, yes, it only applies to outdoor sports.
Okay. Nick, I hear you, but have you ever been to Miami in September when it's 130,000 degrees? Josh Allen almost died on the field a couple of years ago.
That's my point.
But that's tough, too.
That's my point. Different type of tough.
Really?
I mean, let's
really?
be honest.
So wait
like,
a minute.
The sun is a mile away from you. It's burning you to a crisp.
All right, so people, all right, at Le Batard Show, when are you tougher? When are you a tougher human being? If you're in crazy amounts of heat or crazy amounts of cold? Because I like this theory that he's espousing.
Well, hold on. Wait a moment here. Because this is, you're being disingenuous with it. I am not arguing that it is definitively tougher to live the Inuit life in the Outer Banks of Alaska than it would be to live in the Sahara Desert. But Miami in September ain't that. So if you want to ask people, when are you tougher in real feel of -20 with a wind chill or real feel of 102 because of humidity, I will go with the former rather than the latter. And this heads thing is really dumb. I understand you want to distract the audience from my less
It's just
than
the Dolphins have hired. No, the Dolphins have hired a lot of people with substantive foreheads, and so it began as foreheads, and now it's just become something else. But Greg Cody has been wanting to talk to you for 10 minutes.
So Nick,
Hi, Greg.
how you doing? I understand that your theory is under construction. The theory that the city and its climate and all that relates. Did you say, I can't recall, did you include Kansas City as a city that exudes toughness? I can't recall.
Yeah, I think that I did because of the weather and because I think it is a blue-collar-ish place certainly compared to the more cosmopolitan cities in the NFL.
Okay, so let me ask you this then.
Yeah.
Was Kansas City a different city with appreciably different weather for the 5 decades that the Chiefs weren't that good and weren't that winning anything of note?
No, but the only good Chiefs teams were teams that were excellent defense, hard-nosed, Marty Schottenheimer Chiefs teams. And the reason that this Chiefs team has won multiple championships while Josh and Lamar have had multiple coaches is because our quarterback can play in all conditions. The snow doesn't come and all of a sudden they're playing 10-7 football games. The snow comes and he's breaking his helmet running through one of your soft-ass Miami Dolphins while they're blowing them out in the playoffs. I understand, Greg, that, it feels like Greg came to me with a smile and tried to knife me in the back, but I was too quick. And Greg remembers those Schottenheimer Dolphins teams of the 90s because they were in the same boat as your Marino Shula, the Schottenheimer Chiefs teams of the 90s, because they were in the same boat as your Marino Shula Dolphins teams, consistently good, never quite good enough.
We have a lot of subject matter that we want to carry with you here, and we don't have very much time left. So amid the 3 stories of Bill Belichick, LeBron James, and Minnesota, which would you like to tackle?
Well, let's start with Belichick. I understand. Dan, did you coin the term? Are you the person that coined the term Captain Easy Stance? Is that your intellectual property?
I don't know, but I did accuse Stugotz of it. Yes, very often.
Okay, so I have. That is one thing. Unlike Club Superstar, which was my invention, and then Amin was like, "But I rank stars too." This is something I unabashedly stole from you, and so you were first to market with it. I do get today that everybody is saluting the flag of Captain Easy Stance. Bill Belichick is a Hall of Famer. No shit. We all know it. I get it. Do you know he won 6 Super Bowls? Yeah, 8 if you count the Giants. We know. We were there. Am I the only one that's not just morally wounded by the fact that a coach who has multiple documented to where the league had to step in cheating scandals, them saying, wait a year. You're going to get in. Wait a year. Am I the only person that's not utterly and totally gobsmacked? How could they do this to this guy? I don't know. The guy cheated a bunch. And some guys like Barry Bonds don't get into the Hall ever. They're like, you're gonna wait a year. And maybe, they could turn this into something really awesome, because next year Gronk is eligible. The year after that, Brady is eligible. And sitting waiting is Rodney Harrison, Vince Wilfork, and Adam Vinatieri. So, I want to turn a negative into a positive. The NFL should this offseason be like, hey, by the way, new rule. If you have more than 5 Super Bowl rings, you don't have to wait the 5 years to be eligible. Brady, you're eligible next year. And next year, the Hall of Fame class can be a celebration of the greatest dynasty ever. Belichick gets in on the contributor list. Brady, Gronk, Vinatieri, Harrison, Wilfork. Just an all-Patriots class, a big Patriots party. This is actually something that I ran by Gronk a couple months ago when I first thought of it. He co-signs on it. So that's fine, and that's a way to kind of right the wrong here. But the guy cheated a bunch, so he has to wait a year. I'm not as horrified by it as others.
I heard David Sampson posit that maybe this has more to do with Robert Kraft than the cheating allegations, and confirmed cases of cheating, that Robert Kraft didn't exactly want to go in potentially in the same class as Bill Belichick because that makes it uncomfortable for him. Do you make anything of that?
I think there might be something to that. I would say, absent the cheating, Belichick is ahead of the queue Belichick should be prioritized ahead of Kraft. I also, ever since I saw the clip of Sampson's, what's the word for it? God-awful and factually incorrect LeBron take, I don't really want to use his sports opinions as, the standard bearer for what may or may not have happened.
Let's play this sound of Victor Wembanyama, who I thought has better on this subject than any athletes that I've heard in America. Wembanyama, you know what? Breonna Stewart was also very good on this subject. But in the NBA, I hadn't heard the subject of Minnesota tackled this well by anybody until Wembanyama tackled it. Let's play that sound for Nick.
PR has tried, but I'm not going to sit here and give some politically correct, I know, every day I wake up and see the news and I'm horrified. I think that it's crazy that some people might make it sound like it's acceptable. The murder of civilians is acceptable, Every day, I read the news and sometimes I'm asking very deep questions about my own life. But, I'm conscious also that saying everything, that's on my mind would have a cost that's too great for me right now. So I'd rather not get into too many details.
Is that kind of a big factor in this, that people have that fear that if they speak openly about an injustice they see, there can be repercussions?
Oh, for sure. It's terrible. It's I know I'm a foreigner. I live in this country, and I am concerned for sure.
Is that part of your hesitance, being a foreigner? Does that play into your?
Oh, for sure. It's yeah.
So a lot of things interesting there about his hesitance there, Nick, including him starting with PR doesn't want me to do any of this.
Yeah, that was interesting. And there's a lot of pieces to his response about, whether or not, he was I'm curious what the Spurs, who I understand Pop is no longer front and center with the team, and he's dealing with what I think is fair to say, some health issues. But it feels like they were one of the, if not the most, alongside the Warriors, progressive, outspoken organizations, certainly when he was at the helm. There's a million ways to go about this, and I know, Dan, that I've said I have a heart out. I can let's stay 10 minutes here on this, and then I'll push my heart out if you guys are interested. Here is the way I would like to tackle this. Because everybody, just like everybody saw the video a few weeks ago with Renee Good, everybody saw the video over the weekend, and that video is as close to an 80-20 topic as we can get in America these days. There are no 90-10s. There are no 99-1s. There are none. 80-20 is as good as we can do, and that video, I think, is pretty damn close to an 80-20. So I think everybody, not everybody, but the majority agree that what happened in that video is horrifying. What is happening alongside it, and some of this is almost humorous, it's so galling, and some of it is just outright horrifying, is the ticking off of what are our constitutional protections one by one on the amendments. So if I may just do a bit of a civics lesson, I guess, the First Amendment, which is about, among other things, freedom of the press, freedom of speech, and freedom to protest and peaceably assemble. That is, in certain quarters of the country right now, not in effect. The press are getting smoke bombed and gassed, just like the protesters on the sidewalk, and we have federal agents saying to people, raise your voice and I will erase your voice. So First Amendment, it really not actually in effect in certain quadrants of the country right now. The Second Amendment, which I have had to, my entire adult life, sit and swallow, that the Second Amendment is so sacrosanct that we must accept the cost of school shootings, because while tragic, there may one day be a day where the federal government comes for us, and we must be prepared to resist that. Now, forget what I believe to be some logical fallacies in that, but that has been the gist of the argument. And now we see the federal government saying, well, your Second Amendment rights don't apply if you are annoying us, even if they apply in every other way. So that's the first two. The Third Amendment, kind of the forgotten amendment, that's the no quartering of soldiers. I'm not sure if this one's hanging by a thread, but I do know there was a hotel in Minneapolis that was like, we don't want your agents here. And the federal government's like, you can't do that. We're going to get your license ripped. So that at least is borderline. Obviously, Fourth Amendment, no illegal search and seizure. That shit don't apply at all anymore. Show me your papers. Fifth Amendment, and by the way, we don't really need a signed judicial warrant to come into your house. Fifth Amendment, again, the show me your papers stuff, which is, I don't have to talk to you. Yeah, you do actually. And then the Sixth and Seventh are about right to a fair trial. And what we're seeing is, man, you may not get to trial. The trial might be you pissed off the wrong guy in the street. That's 1 through 7. Pretty important ones. And it is utterly galling that the mission creep, and maybe it's not creep, has gotten to this point already. That we are 373 days in, and we're already to the point to where we're parsing which of the amendments are still fully strong. The repeal of prohibition, as strong as it was a year ago. Women's right to vote, as strong as it was a year ago. But those first 7 on shakier ground. And that should be concerning to everybody that claims to love this country.
I can't believe you chose to talk about Belichick first when that's the one you wanted to talk about. Like, what kind of judgment is that from you? I trust your judgment on these things. I'm sitting here, I'm following you. And then it becomes, blow my heart out. Never mind about my heart out. I was real worried about my heart out, but never mind. This is the one I want to talk about.
Okay, well, a couple things. If we're going to talk about judgment, What you saying like, hey, spin the wheel, what would you like to talk about? Something that actually greatly affects our democracy, or whether or not this guy got into the Hall of Fame. You could have just steered us one direction, but I, on the other hand, decided, you know what? I wanted to see Cody's reaction to the Captain Easy stance take. I wanted a smile. It's been a bad 72 hours. So, I do that. But yeah, I mean, listen, we are we're in a, and I said this to you privately, I think. I'll say it publicly before I go. I do believe that, as people say, elections have consequences. And I do believe, right or wrong, not even right or wrong, even if I hate it, we as a country did vote for mass deportations. They didn't slide that in under the wire. They held signs up at rallies saying that's what they were going to do. And they got elected and they did it. And you know what? Fair's fair. I can hate it. I can say that's not what I lost. So be it. And anybody that can just put pencil to paper on what that meant, the scale of it, had to know it was going to be horrifying. And that, I actually think, as much as I dislike it, is fair play. They said they were going to do it. They ran on that platform. They won. So be it. Like, I've got to stomach it. At no point did they say that those of us that don't like it would then have to do, whether it is the math I think Victor Wembanyama is doing or the math Alex Preddy was doing, which is how much of my own personal constitutional rights or safety am I putting in jeopardy by expressing my objection? At no point was that put to a vote. And it is beyond galling to me that there is a real effective chilling effect of, if you have a voice and you want to be on the record opposing this stuff, and you want to do it in this platform, that they might find ways to make your life more difficult. And if you want to do it in person, you need to be prepared that whatever you thought were the rules of engagement are off. And I give Alex Preddy credit because he knew that, because reportedly a week before they broke one of his ribs. And he still stood there and said, you're not going to shove this woman down. And the Wall Street Journal can say he foolishly assisted a woman who got shoved down and assaulted for exercising her constitutionally protected rights. I did not look at that as a foolish act. I looked at that as a human act. And he got shot nearly a dozen times for it. So I know I got to go. Sorry.
No, I was just going to say, I thought you nailed the dismount. So he's the host of FS1's First Things First. He's very good on this subject matter and most subject matter, except whether cold weather makes you tough. He's also the host of What's Right with Nick Wright, the podcast. It's also with his son. Thank you, Nick. We will talk to you.
Talk to you soon. And by the way, cold weather makes you tough. Look at how tough those people are up in Minneapolis right now. Bam, argue with that. Now you can't because
okay.
I kind of
that's it. That's right.
You
did.
Bye,
You did.
Dano.
Yeah, see you later. The Wemby video and audio to me is heartbreaking for a number of different reasons, okay? But if this guy doesn't feel safe to have power to just say what he wants when he's mature enough and evolved enough to have his own thoughts, and the pressure from outside, and when I say outside, the pressure from inside too, the pressure everywhere makes it for nobody wants me to do this. There are consequences to this. I want to play this sound again because you understand, I hope, that while we were talking about Anthony Edwards and John Morant as face of the league, if this guy stays healthy, this is going to be what replaces LeBron. And we start with him scared in America as a foreigner to just speak freely about what he thinks with this country's pressures on him and his own PR staff being like, do you really want to talk about this? So let's just play this sound again, because he's among the most powerful among us. He's been rewarded in every way to have strength with that power, and he's being discouraged in a way that's obvious to show you what that power's supposed to sound like.
PR has tried, but I'm not going to sit here and give some politically correct, I know, every day I wake up and see the news and I'm horrified. I think that it's crazy that some people might make it seem like, or make it sound like it's acceptable. The murder of civilians is acceptable, Every day, I read the news and sometimes I'm asking very deep questions about my own life. But, I'm conscious also that saying everything, that's on my mind would have a cost that's too great for me right now. So it's, I'd rather not get into too many details.
Is that kind of a big factor in this, that people have that fear that if they speak openly about an injustice they see, there can be repercussions?
No, for sure. It's terrible. It's, I know I'm a foreigner. I live in this country, and I am concerned for sure.
Is that part of your hesitance, being a foreigner? Does that play into your?
Oh, for sure. It's yeah.
There are a number of things about the last 10 years that make me feel left behind. But hearing an athlete at the height of his powers scared to say the words, the murder of civilians, not acceptable, like that's the most obvious opinion that he could give. And he's scared to give an obvious opinion in America and being dissuaded from it by both fear and the organization that he works for.
Right. It's flabbergasting. Is he afraid of ICE? Is he afraid of sponsors leaving him?
Consequences,
over this?
Unknown consequences.
And no matter what they are, this he's in a position to really be a role model and a leader at his young age if he's willing to take on that responsibility.
But there's nothing controversial about what he's saying.
Shouldn't be. You're right.
It shouldn't be, but it is controversial.
Because
of how the discourse has been framed.
But it's not because of what Nick's saying. If your starting point is understanding, there's not going to be 100% anymore. That day's dead. It's always going to be 80-20. If you're with the 80, it's not controversial. Like saying that is just, and I'm not saying there's not bravery in it.
No, because even if you occupy the 80, there are a lot of people that say there needs to be a division between politics and sport. There are numbers people that say, no, this stuff really affects our business, and I think that's what he's alluding to. And I think the 20%, they've lived a charmed existence with sports over the last few years because they won that. They won that. Progressives, their voices dwindled. They were told to shut up. Anthem protests, that all stopped. Meanwhile, the 20% that you occupy, you just got to eat it when Donald Trump shows up to the Daytona 500. You just got to eat it when Donald Trump parades around with athletes inside the White House as he further propagandizes and normalizes this kind of behavior and gets cosigns from it, or when he shows up to golf competitions, or when he shows up to national championship games or regionally specific college football games. It changed. It changed on our watch, too. We were impacted by the progressive talk around here. They won, and I'm encouraged. As terrifying as it is to see Wembanyama basically talk about our country as if it's China, I'm encouraged by these voices starting to come out and say we're not going to be silenced anymore.
But when you say, though, something has changed, here is what cannot change. The murder of civilians is not acceptable. That's not a controversial that's not a controversial statement when it starts with the murder.
Right. Well, think of where we were 6 years ago when the George Floyd stuff was happening. Sports shut down. All of them. There were a couple of hockey games being played until they realized, hey, everybody else is stopping. We should stop too. That didn't really happen. There was one basketball game. That's how much things have changed. Before, social causes would actually stop sport. And the business keeps moving on because of the callous it's developed over the last few years with numbers and business people and people that complain about keep politics out of sports, but it's okay when it's my politics actually making a difference.
So we've gone from, just to be clear, the last 5 years, we've gone from during the pandemic wearing all of the social messages on the jerseys to most powerful player in the sport, or one of the most powerful players in the sport, afraid to say, with every governance around him telling him don't say it, afraid to say the murder of civilians is not acceptable. Okay, you good with that? Everybody good with that? Is anyone good with that? Because that doesn't seem to be a reasonable place where any reasonable people who believe in freedom or safety would live.
Go woke, go broke. That was the whole thing. People didn't want to see group economics and education reform scoring 25 points in an NBA bubble. And we moved the line so much that they don't even pay attention to their bogus opinions on it, because as long as it's their politics and their sport, they're okay with it.
I mean, sports has the ability and the power to be pretty influential here. Think about it. All of the major leagues, NFL, NBA, NHL, MLS, all of them, WNBA, could come out with a joint statement abhorring what's going on.
Yeah, but there's no way to be influential if your primary need is always to protect business. Like
the NHL did the math. The NHL did the math. Right across town in Minneapolis, the Timberwolves canceled their game.
And the Panthers played that night.
16 miles away in St. Paul, they decided, let's push through. Did they even put out a statement?
I don't believe so.
So let's lighten this up just slightly here, because I sent Jeremy away about an hour ago to work on a whiteboard where he has just a little bit of trade talk that he wants to talk about, because the trade deadline is approaching. And this is obviously the sorbet, the palate cleanser that human beings who want just sports, don't tell me what Wemby thinks about murder or civilians, just give me the latest transaction. Jeremy is here for you, and that board, of course, seems terribly inefficient. Where do we start with your NBA trade deadline board, as the NBA trade deadline is next week on Thursday? Board, B-O-R-E-D. Go ahead.
You don't want my comments on Wemby and what he said in the state of democracy? All right, Giannis Antetokounmpo. He is the big fulcrum of this entire trade deadline, right? He's the guy that everybody wants. We're not sure if he's going to be moved. And all of these salaries and teams could potentially play into what happens here. Obviously, the Heat want Giannis. And what will that offer look like for Giannis? They can only offer a 2030 pick and a 2032 pick, given the circumstances of that 2027 pick heading over to the Charlotte Hornets, but it's top 14 protected, which means that it could be in 2028. You're not allowed to go back-to-back years where you don't have your pick. And so in turn, the only tradable assets there are 2030 and 2032. Could the Heat potentially acquire another pick to be able to move from there? So Jonathan Kuminga, there's rumors that Jonathan Kuminga and Andrew Wiggins, an expiring contract with a player option, could be a swap with the Warriors, in which the Heat would acquire a first-round pick. The Warriors have all of their picks. Another potential asset for the Warriors is the injured Jimmy Butler, because he could be a tank commander. You could trade him for other salary that's potentially expiring, or useful players to pair along with Steph Curry, maybe to a team like the Pelicans or the Hawks. Obviously, with the Pelicans and the Hawks, you have no trade that's going with Trey Murphy.
That was an important part, Dan. The Pelicans and the Hawks, the first round picks in the midst.
I'm into this.
Okay, you want more of this?
It's a little bit. Let's get to the good part.
You want? He's getting to the good part.
Yeah.
I can't read any of the names on the board. They're too small on the board.
That is true. So the Blazers. The interesting part about the Blazers, Dan, is that they have swaps in 2028 and 2030 and the first round pick with Milwaukee. No, this is interesting because it goes.
All right, come back to me when he's interesting. In the interim, let's have Greg Cody fill out a ballot and see if that ballot is something that he remembers all the names to at the end of the show, because he's an older gentleman.
Okay, so what's the best way to do this? Because I feel like Greg should fill out the ballot here, but he doesn't actually say on the air right now who he's selecting.
Okay.
Like the reveal comes in the end when we test him and ask him, did you vote for so-and-so? I think the reveal in the end is probably the payoff.
Yeah, I've glanced at the ballot. There's a lot of names on there. And the one thing I'll tell you as a caveat is I'm going to vote for very few people on that ballot because I don't have the time to do my due diligence.
And the Hawks. In 2026, New Orleans or Milwaukee's pick is going to go to Atlanta. And that's the part that's really interesting because
that's the big part, Dan.
If you see this pick where that Milwaukee pick, Milwaukee is probably going to
come on, put him up.
No, Greg, give us more information on your ballot.
And so just like in baseball, I'm famous for doing my due diligence on my Cooperstown ballot. That's why they haven't taken my ballot away, despite protestations from Le Batard. But in the case of this ballot, I don't have time to correctly reflect exactly who deserves and who doesn't deserve on a long ballot.
2026 pick. And if they have their own 2026 pick, that's because New Orleans is worse than Milwaukee. That one goes to Atlanta. And when you have the 2026 pick for Milwaukee staying with themselves, they're incentivized to tank.
So the people I have voted for are the ones that jumped out at me as obvious first ballot guys. Okay, so those are the ones that I'm voting for on this ballot.
So you have the 2026 pick of Milwaukee staying with them, which incentivizes them to tank. So if they give up Giannis, they could potentially take off if Giannis moves to the Heat. I don't know when you're talking to me, when you're talking to Greg,
Fade
in the
his
ear,
ass
it's
down.
all the same.
All right,
Karl Anthony Towns, he's a potential.
Oh, cat.
Cooper Flagg is not a point guard. Y'all look the damn same, Jake LaRavia and Austin Reeves. Hold on one second. Are you here at noon? Yeah. Give me just 1 second.
Trista, ladies and gentlemen.
Whoop, whoop.
Welcome back to the alley. Ooh, take the direction that way.
Little tree with all easy.
If you have a friend out there that needs to come home, don't let them go out of the house like this.
Boy, stop. Mila Kunis is a little methy.
I'm not understanding the rules of this.
If it was destigmatized, Juju would be on the steroid right now.
I'm challenge flag that.
I don't like turkey.
Oh, alert. Flag, 15 yards.
I allied, he ooped. He allied, I ooped. Juju, we'll have to, I look forward to this every single week.
www.alleyoopshow.com.
New Year, same Miami. We say goodbye to 2025 and the First Amendment with accused serial sex pest and Miami Beach Mayor Stephen Minor sending cops to a woman's door for writing a mean Facebook comment. And Mayor Francis Suarez might be gone, but his scandals go on and on. This time, he's handing out Rolex watches to cops like Ecstasy at Ultra. We're rolling on an all-new Because Miami.
Is dead.
The knuckleballer is dead now, correct? Completely dead. There's no one. Is there anyone throwing the knuckleball now?
Someone has to be throwing it.
I would say Tim Wakefield was.
None of us
bad.
have one. We're just like, yeah.
No, there has to
There's
be.
got to be. Well, wait a minute. The knuckleballer didn't go extinct without anyone telling us.
As
did
long
it?
as there's breath in my lungs, there's a knuckleballer out there.
Put it on the poll, Guillermo, at Le Batard Show. As long as there is breath in your lungs, will there be a knuckleballer out there?
There should be more because if you notice, I mean, I don't have any stats to back this, but I don't care. I'm going with it regardless. I would say that the position players that are pitching have a much better ERA than average pitchers do. Because they're all just going out there throwing the ball like 35 miles an hour, and the hitters are so confused that they just get under it, they pop up. Like nary a run is scored off of a position player. Sometimes, but not always.
I loved when baseball analysis was starting strong. I loved the people who would do the analytics on how a knuckleballer would screw up your hitters the next day. The preparing for a knuckleball would screw you up the next day as well because you're sitting out there hitting those 45-mile-an-hour butterflies.
There's nothing that I hated more, like growing up watching the Marlins, than when Jamie Moyer was coming to play against them. And I don't even remember if he was a knuckleballer, if he could just only hit 75.
Slop. It was just slop.
He could only hit
he
like
was not a knuckleballer.
72.
He was just old, and he threw croutons up
Anytime there was a
Tossed
knuckleballer or just an old man that could throw the ball really slow, I knew like this team can only hit fastballs, and this is going to be a long day and a long week because they're not going to be able to figure it out.
And it's frustrating because you're just seeing these meatballs go over the plate. You're like, how can you not deal with this? This is so slow. Hit the baseball. And yet Jamie Moyer had a 20-year career. He was 40. He was still pitching.
What is the ruling of the committee? Is Stugotz is nominated? I need some sort of formal ruling from the committee. He has nominated Joe Musgrove. Billy is passionately against. Chris, are you willing to give him horse status because horse status is before ace? Horse is not an ace.
Chris, before you answer, I have good news on the knuckleballer front. There is still one remaining. Mickey Janis of the Orioles is still throwing it.
Okay? The worst team in the league.
He's still out there, though, keeping the species alive.
It also
will not
seems
go
though
extinct.
Mickey Janis has only pitched one game in 2021.
Oh.
In Major League Baseball.
He's still trying.
Still breath in my lungs.
Yeah.
He is currently with the Chicago Dogs of the American Association of Professional Baseball, which I don't think is in Major League Baseball. So
it is extinct.
So it is extinct for now, yeah.
But extinct in the majors doesn't make it extinct as a species.
Yeah, exactly.
This may surprise you, Dan, but there are only 33 pitchers who have ever thrown a knuckleball in a Major League game, according to
wrong.
Wikipedia.
That's
which I was surprised how small that number was.
I don't think that's wrong, Billy. Why would you think that's wrong?
That's wrong.
Let's all name knuckleballers we can think of and see.
Well, no, we'd never come up with 33 of them. 33 sounds about right to me. It's a terrifying way to make a living. Imagine all these guys. They're just failed pitchers who developed some other.
Failed pitchers.
Someone with like a 15, 20-year career is a failed pitcher?
Yeah.
Well, Jamie Moyer is not a knuckleballer. You made him a knuckleballer just because he throws
Tim
soft.
Wakefield,
soft
pitched,
tosser.
yeah, across decades.
There are a couple of guys who are exceptions, but largely the knuckleballer is a novelty freak who comes out, and it is hard to make a living that way.
Jeez.
Freak, what are you
I don't
doing?
like how you're describing these things.
Right. Isn't Phil Niekro in the Hall of Fame? I mean,
is he? I don't think so.
You don't think so?
He is in the Hall of Fame.
319 wins.
There are 4 knuckleballers.
What was his career?
What's your standard for the Hall of Fame?
No,
He
that's
also
my,
had
that's my bad.
274 losses.
No, that's my bad. He just pitched forever, and I should know that.
Nickname Nuxie.
Compiler.
That is a classic compiler right there. Phil
Dangerous
Niekro in
nickname.
the Hall of Fame.
What's going to happen with Ja Morant? Now, the Grizzlies have all of their picks, and if the Heat are the only team on the market looking for Ja Morant, the question becomes, will Memphis eventually be able to be willing to give up one of their picks to Miami? Because if the Heat can acquire one of those picks in a trade for Ja Morant, potentially they can use that pick to package with that 2030 and 2032 pick for Giannis Antetokounmpo.
Ooh, did you hear what he said, though?
You can add Ja Morant and Giannis Antetokounmpo.
You guys aren't going to be like this till next Thursday, are you? You're going to be like this till next Thursday when the only thing that's going to be traded at the deadline is, again, George Hill?
That was a big piece at the time.
Is he even still
It's
in
always
the
a
league?
big piece.
Is he
No,
still in the
no, it can't
league?
be.
I think somebody's put it on the poll at Le Batard Show. Is somebody going to trade for George Hill next week?
It's a guaranteed loss in the Eastern Finals. I think I'd like the Heat to trade for George Hill at this point.
George Hill is no longer in the
factor
league.
Here, LeBron James, an expiring contract at $52 million. Now, there was a report today that the Cavs would be welcoming him back with open arms. But if they did, that was probably going to be in the offseason because of the salaries and where they're at. DeAndre Hunter, Jared Allen, maybe potentially more in exchange for LeBron James. But where else could LeBron want to go? Could he want a reunion with the Miami Heat?
Dan, you just missed it.
Zaslow put a poll on his Twitter account yesterday. What is most ridiculous? Shador is a Pro Bowler. Belichick's not a Hall of Famer. LeBron did not influence the Lakers drafting Bronny. The winner was LeBron. The winner of Zaz's poll was LeBron.
Yeah, it is the most ridiculous and not believable. LeBron didn't influence the Lakers to draft Bronny James. When Rich Paul
James is here at $52 million. Now, what potential money could the Lakers want to take on? Could Andrew Wiggins be a piece that they would want? Now, he would complement Luka Doncic pretty well. Khalil Ware, obviously, as a young guy on a contract, he's a great lob threat for Luka Doncic, so he might be a
Rich
potential
Paul
opportunity
publicly threatening teams. You better not draft Bronny. He will go play overseas. Rich Paul, I don't know if you're aware, LeBron's agent. No communication here, apparently, between LeBron and the Lakers. LeBron actually wants people to believe.
Paul, is that if Giannis Antetokounmpo is a piece here and then becomes repped by Rich Paul, does that benefit LeBron James more? Does that benefit potentially the Miami Heat as they've had a reunion? Then there's Anthony Davis. That's a big question. Could he end up in Toronto?
It's just like nonstop lies is what it is. How does LeBron expect anyone to believe he has not influenced the Lakers to draft Bronny James? And when the report comes out, how do you even utter that report? How do you expect anyone to believe that when those words come?
The Sacramento Kings, because Domantas Sabonis is another guy that's been rumored to be wanted by Toronto, but where does that money go? DeMar DeRozan, now he's a big guy. He's that downhill threat we spoke about potentially for the Warriors. Who do they move over to Sacramento? Could that be Jonathan Kuminga? But then there's Buddy Hield. He's got $9 million, 9.6 next year, a $10 million player option.
Roy?
You can move him over here, and the Blazers. That's the interesting piece. Drew Holiday. How do you get LeBron James, Giannis, and Ja? That's going to be pretty difficult because your entire
I know how to get them back.
salary
I know how to get them back. I know how to get them back. Don't just fade it down. Guys, I'm going to talk football.
They're going to talk
football. I'm going to talk football. I'm going to talk football.
Nah, they don't care about that. If you wanted to move Andrew Wiggins potentially over to the Lakers in exchange for LeBron James and say it was either Fontecchio or Rozier is expiring salary for them, then you could...
Is it possible that LeBron, okay, follow me here. Is it possible that LeBron says that he didn't ask the Lakers to draft Bronny because he's distancing himself from his son so that if he gets traded, he doesn't have to bring Bronny with him? Maybe he's trying to distance himself.
James says, I want to go to Miami. You move LeBron for Wiggins and Rozier. Expiring contracts, Wiggins can be the complement. You could potentially acquire a pick from the Lakers as they have all of these picks here. You can get it in 2031. They're going to be bad by then. You get him. You potentially get Ja Morant for expiring money in a pick. Maybe that's Norman Powell. Maybe you add Jaime Jaquez as a potential asset, but see if you can get a pick sent from Memphis. You take those two picks that you just acquired from the Lakers and the Grizzlies. You package them with the two picks that you have here. You take Khalil Ware and whatever money you have left over. You send it for Giannis.
Oh my God, Bron, you demanded a trade from the Lakers. You wouldn't even make your son come with you? No. It was not my idea for Bronny to come to Lakers. I never told him to. I don't care about Bronny coming with me. Never my idea. How about that?
Karl Anthony Towns is a fascinating piece in all of this because I don't know if the Blazers want him, but the rumors are that the Knicks want Drew Holiday. Now, why would they want Drew Holiday? What has Giannis been saying recently? He's been saying that he wants to play with his old teammates. So if the Knicks can potentially swing a deal for Drew Holiday, he's sitting here at $32 million. Cat's at 50, and you have Giannis's 54. So how do the numbers work here? Well, you potentially send Cat to Milwaukee.
All right, enough of this. Enough. I'm done with this. Stop. If they don't want to come back, it's fine. You guys can come back next Friday after the trade deadline. After that, only thing that's been traded is George Hill. Every year we do this. Every year it's the same thing, and the trade deadline comes and goes, and there's never a giant trade.
In all seriousness, I don't know if you'll be able to tell. Like now, I'm being really serious. Okay? Of all seriousness, the Miami Heat are in these conversations every single year. This one is shaping up to be the wackiest of delusions. We're talking about the Heat acquiring Ja Morant and LeBron James and Giannis Antetokounmpo all at the same time.
That's correct. That's how the Heat always do it every year. I've been around in all the times where it is that somebody's trying to trade Michael Jordan for Alan Ogg because the Heat don't want to give anything away in order to get the best player. I've been doing that show for some form, been listening to those fans for many, many years.
Look, I don't want to break the fourth rail here, but I'm kidding about all three of them potentially being here.
Whoa!
What a disappointment.
Whoa! Get out of here! I mean, what are you doing? What are you doing?
Minor penalty, 2 minutes for explaining the show.
Well, get out of here!
Fourth rail callback.
I know. Get out of here.
That was a good call by him, though.
So the thing that I wanted to ask you guys about football, because I thought, and I know that it's later in the week, okay, but I thought that Rams-Seahawks game was so seismic in terms of the number of things being decided by nothing, by just whispers and inches and nonsense. So two of the things that I wanted to recall that we did not talk very much about. So Reek Woolen, I believe his first name is actually Tariq, and it's shortened to Reek, and I would have no confusion about that if the Seahawks had lost. Because if the Seahawks had lost, Woolen would have gone down as one of the all-time GOATs on doing something dumb, because when the score was 31-20 and they finally got the Rams to punt and they were going to get the ball back and the game was going to be decided, the next play with cutthroat cruelty of that sport, because they knew he was emotional. They knew he was going to be heightened. The next play, the Rams in 25 seconds said, no, we target him in the corner with our best player. Go now,
you think
now,
it's
now.
True?
Oh, for sure it's true. For sure it's true that they know in those instances how to do that surgically. Like I've heard Chris Sims talk about this. They know that player was emotional. Go get him. Go attack him, because this is a weakened player, and this shit's like the Wild, man, in terms of when someone's weakened, you smell the blood and you go attack that. So that's a name that we would know historically for all time with blunders if the result had been different, okay? But the thing that I wanted to put in front of you guys conversationally is, when exactly and how exactly did football get to the point where we were all good with the unsportsmanlike? We talk about penalties all the time. This wasn't a pass interference. Everybody was good with, yep, that's taunting, and you can't call that there. Like, everybody was good with, what an idiot, but nobody was saying, why are you calling a taunting of a bench in a game this important, with this many important things? That is what you're going to do to decide it. You're going to enforce the rules. And so whether you object or agree with what I'm saying, it doesn't matter. Fine, you believe in sportsmanship. When did it change so much, though, that the consensus was, yeah, dumb guy, and not, you can't call that there. That guy's just talking to people on the sidelines. You can't be that interested in sportsmanship that you're going to decide this game and that guy's reputation for decades after this with that call in that spot.
I feel like it's implied, though. I feel like the more egregious thing from a fan perspective is don't allow the official to do the shitty call. I think that is the overriding.
I'm not confused about why they called it. I'm talking about the shift that everyone's come over to repressions on sportsmanship, where they've scrubbed out of the game the talking so much that something that would be the most normal thing in the NBA is about to decide who's going to the Super Bowl because a guy gets emotional and wants to say to the sideline, eat this.
It's going back to the NFL being the no fun league, right? Remember when you couldn't do dances, you couldn't do celebrations, you couldn't do any of these things? Like, these refs are just turned into robots of, I see a call, I make a call. There's no context
but it's not
or
the
timing.
But Tony, it's not the refs. It's they brainwashed the audience too, because no one was. Everyone pounced on the guy, and I heard very few people wondering, how do you call that in that spot in this game? How is it that the referee, who doesn't want to make himself the call at the end of one of these games because he doesn't want to be responsible for deciding it, how do you not keep that flag in your pocket because a guy's woofing at a sideline? Like, I don't know how it is that the league has been able to actually scrub all of us. Now, I get how they've taught the refs. How is it that the rest of us are such sheep on this one?
I don't think it's a matter of being a sheep. I looked at that play a couple of times on replay, and what I noticed was that the player who was flagged actually steps over the line into the bench area of the other team. That's pretty egregious.
Did he do that? Because I thought he was still on the field. I don't think he crossed the sideline. He was close to them.
I believe he did.
Okay, but in the NBA, guys are closer all the time to the bench, talking trash to the bench all the time in the NBA. Step over the sideline and woof at the sideline. I don't know how it is that this has become so normalized in the last few years that we've gone from Terrell Owens runs on the field with a Sharpie in his sock to you can't woof at a sideline. We're going to decide who goes to the Super Bowl based on this.
Then do it to Steph Curry when he shoots a shot from the corner with his back literally on the bench of the other team. Before it goes through the net, he turns around and looks at everybody while the ball goes through the net and then runs to the other side. We're talking about the same thing. Like, I'm showing you I did a great play.
What an effective league at scrubbing the personality out of the sport and also brainwashing its customers without us even noticing that they've done it, because everyone pounced on Woolen and I didn't see anyone pouncing at a referee when what I want my judges to do is not enforce the letter of the law. Use your judgment, please, and have better judgment than I do.
How much does it have to do with us not knowing, and we would never know or remember the referee's name?
I think it has more to do with the fact that that league has successfully scrubbed the personality out of the sport because it is so interested in enforcing rules and sportsmanship.
Unless there's a turnover, then you can run anywhere you want and do whatever dance you want to do with your whole team.
I think it's baked into the game.
That is weird, isn't
and
it?
composure and execution, those are things that help you along the way. 2 years ago, Miami of the season essentially ended because Jacoby George, a dude that you were always worried about, decided to take a swipe at someone and hand his team a crucial penalty, and you learn from it.
I mean, officials are taught not to regard the score or the time on the clock when they decide a penalty.
Yeah, I want my judges to show judgment. It's why they're judges.
I don't think you're in the majority.
That's fine. That's fine. I prefer my judges to have interpretation. Man, I could teach AI to follow letter of the law. Why don't I just replace all the officials? Like, I could teach AI to follow letter of the law. I want perspective, nuance, and a human being using judgment who's more qualified at judgment than I am.
Where's the line of, when you don't make a call?
Clutch
There's
moments.
8 minutes left in the fourth quarter. That's not close enough.
All I ask is that they're consistent. That if I can get a beat on what kind of game we're going to have in the first quarter, that's going to play out through the rest. I thought the college football playoff was excellent in that regard, in that, okay, they're going to let these guys play. That's the kind of game that we have to win out there. Fine. I like that each game takes a unique aspect, so I never want to eliminate that. All I want is consistency.
So the other thing that I wanted to ask you guys about the game is, and again, so many fascinating things about who's going to be remembered forevermore as the best team in football in this sport over things that are being decided by fractions and nanoseconds. We all agree that Sean McVay knows what he's doing, is obviously brilliant. We were talking yesterday about the fact that as air traffic controllers, there's way too much that has to be processed in such a small amount of time. At the end of that game, what happened with that challenge and a timeout on a play where his guy on precision, Cooper Kupp, McVay's guy, makes another 3rd and 10 play by inches where all of us were watching, all of us, real time, all of us didn't get it. That spot's no good. He did not get there. We're watching on television. It's a better angle, and we're watching it several times. McVay gets one shot at that. The smartest coach in the league, or one of the smartest ones, burns a timeout because he doesn't know whether he should challenge or not in a moment where the guy who's the best at all the genius details isn't being accused of choking when they could have used that timeout. Now, I understand how it happened. Obviously, that's Cooper Kupp. He taught him how to do that. Cooper Kupp gets those 10 yards because he knows exactly where it is that he's got to be. But how is Sean McVay supposed to process all of that in that moment? And why is he not being accused of choking when they needed that timeout? They needed to stop that play from becoming a first down.
The interesting part of it, too, is that you see him mouthing to the officials, do I get that timeout back? Once he threw the flag, do I get that timeout back? And he's waiting. He's listening to probably 200 people in his ear saying, no, we don't get that back. Yeah, we get that back. And he's talking to the referees, and he's like, do I get it back? And they're like, no, you don't. And he's like, oh, my God.
Can you imagine the situation? Like, let's think about all the things that go into preparation, right? So Diana Rossini's telling us earlier this week, yeah, these guys, Vrabel knows whether that official calls pass interference 16% more of the time than another official, so he'll try to deep pass in that situation because he knows that official has more leniency when it comes to making a call. If these guys are not meeting their families, seeing their families, because every day takes 20 hours that they've got to pour into, I've got to be slightly better than Vrabel this week. And all of it comes down to, I've got to be able to see from the sideline whether Cooper Kupp, the guy I taught to do that, got those inches and my angle's worse than anybody else's in the place. Everybody watching on television has a better angle at this and gets to see it more time, gets to see it again. I'm just listening to voices in my head and I didn't have a good angle. And how the hell should I know whether he made it or not? It was half a yard. I don't know. To me, it's crazy.
But he has someone in his ear that is seeing the angle we're seeing.
No.
What do you mean? There's somebody in his ear that's watching.
Yeah, but there's like a 30-second countdown clock. Like, it's really hard. You ever try to cue up a sound on our show? It's a process.
Chris, but here's the other part about it, Chris. You say that they're seeing the same things we are. They're doing it with a clock the way we're not. I watched it 10 times and still wasn't sure.
I know. I went back and forth, too.
Like, I'm sitting there watching it, and they keep replaying it, and I'm like, no, I don't think he made that. Like, he was going down. How did he make that?
That's why
he didn't. In that spot, if you're worried about the timeout, you just throw the flag. If you're going to call the timeout, you throw the flag, and then the timeout only leaves if you're wrong.
Yeah, it's easy for us to say. That's why it's not a choke job. Shit was hard.
Yeah. Right.
Anybody could see. Like, I changed my mind 3 times on that replay.
Yeah,
Shit was hard.
But if you ask him, he probably looks at that like I screwed that up. I should have just thrown the flag.
Why? Just because
you've had 3 days. He had 40 seconds.
It's all hard, Mike. Getting to the top of sports is hard. It's all hard.
Which is why I'm not saying he's a choker.
We all say everyone chokes all the time.
Yeah,
even though everything
I don't think he choked in that moment. I don't think he choked in that moment.
But that's textbook definition choking. Not knowing how to use your timeouts is almost textbook definition of my mind melted.
If Mario did that.
He would probably get a lot of shit for it. I think there are degrees, not kneeling in that. Like, that's super hard. I don't think that's textbook. If that were textbook, he'd probably handle it better.
But I don't actually think, though, that people are lending the nuance to say, I'm not calling him a choker because I know that was hard. I just think they're not calling him a choker because
that's a disease of man. Well, honestly, like, come on. Everybody thought that was hard, right?
I think they're not calling him a choker because it's like never something that we label a coach as, which I don't necessarily agree with. I think there's plenty of instances
but
a coach can choke.
Making a brain fart mistake in a moment when you're the one responsible for the decisions is textbook definition choking.
Yeah.
No matter how hard it is.
I think that's too harsh. I think when the difference between a first down and not is an inch, and you're.
But Greg, you can't lose the timeout though. Like you get.
Okay, that was a mistake.
No, but that.
Yeah, you gotta just throw the challenge flag because you're gonna lose a timeout anyways if you lose. So
you can't look that when you say that was a mistake. It's a mental mistake that costs the chance for the Rams by their coach to the Super Bowl. Like if we're going to be experts, okay, as Bam Adebayo says, if we're all going to be couch coaches, right? Like, and Mike's sitting here clamoring for
you have to understand the league also decides arbitrarily when they're going to inject themselves and say,
stop playing,
you don't have to challenge this. We're going to go ahead and do it.
I never know when you're allowed to challenge and when it's the referees who I never know.
I've been saying this for months. Eye in the sky, slippery slope.
Yeah, it is because
been saying it.
I don't know any of the rules of the game anymore.
He called the timeout
whenever they want.
he called the timeout to buy the league more time for them to decide something that was pretty obvious. So you could say Sean McVay choked, or you could say the league should have decided let's replay that a lot sooner because it was a very close play as it unfolded.
Also, when he asked the referee had to ask another referee if he was going to be able to get that timeout back. He's talking on things. He's like, hey, does he get this back or not?
Too many rules.
The system failed Sean McVay.
What's a catch?
Oh, so he's a victim instead of a choker.
I do think so. Like, it was very obvious that was a close play, and the league decides, again, arbitrarily, when they're going to review close plays
Like, did the
on their
league
own.
review the Bills play, the interception? They didn't review that, right?
They're just going to make him use a challenge on something that we all agree is a close play. I can understand the hesitance there.
See, I give an accomplished coach the benefit of doubt in this case because McVay, as I imagine it, McVay's got somebody in his left ear saying, that's short of a first, throw the flag. And you've got somebody in his right ear saying, no, let's not waste that. That's a first down.
He can't be getting mixed messages
Boy, that's
in his headset.
Well, wait. So Diana Rossini did tell us earlier this week that Vrabel now has the guy, didn't she say, that McVay used to have for all of these circumstances in his ear. And McVay botched that because there are a lot of people in your headset. Tony, do me the favor of doing, I want you to go bet the castle, and I want you to go bet the castle.
Oh, I got a good one.
Better than Zaz bet the castle
Well, that's
last
obvious,
week.
though.
Yeah,
Hey,
because
great.
he took the Nets plus 11.5. And
Can't be worse,
buy it
Tony.
up.
they lost by 60. So you get ready to bet the castle. But I am actually here for what Mike Ryan just did. And I hope everyone in sports and sports radio and sports argument television follows me on this. I am here for analysis now taking in what it is Mike has suggested, which is anytime anything in sports happens that is questionable, someone wanders over and says, but it was hard. It was hard to get to that point. So you're saying, Mike, that after a 17-game season longer than any other, that basically decapitated all the 49ers, that the Rams getting to the end of that season and watching Cooper Kupp, who used to get 2,000 yards for them, as the second receiver for the Seahawks, convert the 7th third and long they had in the game by millimeters, and having Sean McVay have to decide with a worse angle than the rest of us, with millions of people talking in his ears, telling him different things, you're saying that was hard.
Yes.
And so he should be forgiven for a mistake.
And I should be commended for my bravery.
Let's apply that to all of sports all the time. Let's be consistent like you're asking referees to be. Anytime anyone in sports does something that's stupid, wrong, or a mistake, we should come over and discuss how hard it was to get to that point.
Yes. What's so ridiculous about this? Mario Cristobal should have known. That one was easy. I agree. That one was easy. Kid also didn't fumble, but that's besides the point. This one, very hard. Oh, we have breaking NFL news. Interesting. Well, probably not that interesting. Cleveland Browns have made a hire.
No way. Someone said yes?
Someone said yes, and that someone was Todd Monken.
Oh, my God.
Really?
I'm a little surprised there.
Wow.
A little surprised there.
That's not a great name for enthusiasm.
No, it isn't.
Just
Monken.
I'm not even
do less for me.
I'm actually kind of seeing how this impacts Miami because he's got friends on the Miami staff.
Always run it through that prism. It's important.
Trying to keep my
do
OC.
this. I do think, though, that what I am doing there, just to be clear, that is not an indictment of Todd Monken's resume. It is not an indictment in any way of his past or his coaching.
I'm with you.
It's just the name.
Yep.
That name is not a name that will ever trigger enthusiasm, no matter what it is that you have said. No, it's not the Todd.
Monken.
I think it is
You
Tommy
think it's the
Monken.
Todd?
Tommy
No.
Monken, and I'm like, all right, we got some energy.
Munchkin. That's the name.
Okay, well done.
Tommy Monken. I'm like, this is a young guy. He's probably a good offensive mind. Todd Monken. I'm with you.
You-
The last
Teddy?
name's not great either, but I just don't think Todd's good.
All right, let's go out to Tony. Tony is betting the castle. We are grateful for all our sponsors around here, grateful for our new ones as well, and all of us love
Dan.
everything that White Castle stands for.
Dan, it's Bet the Castle, presented by Wet Castle.
Wet Castle?
Bet the Castle, presented by White Castle. Hunger says eat, cravings say eat this. And with White Castle's 100% beef, grilled onions, melty cheese, and steamy buns that hold it all together. How can you not crave thy castle?
Steamy buns.
So good, dude.
Yeah.
So go ahead, Tommy. Go ahead, Toddy.
Thanks.
Go ahead
Thanks, Dano.
and give us both your bet, which has to be better. Again, we debuted, and I'm sorry. I want to publicly apologize to White Castle for this. The first time we did this, Zaslow said take the Nets at the Knicks plus 11.5, and also Mike Brown is going to be fired soon. And the Nets promptly scored 66 points in an NBA basketball game and lost by 54.
Like I said, you always got to buy the hook.
Okay, so he was saying you got to buy 40 points there, 43 points there.
I had him plus 55.
Tony, what is what are you betting the Castle on?
Dano, well, I'm very excited because it's the first time I have White Castle burgers in a long time, and now we have them here in the studio. So I'm going to put them in real quick, put them to cook, and then I'll give you my bet here, bet in the Castle. Here we go. Put them in 60 seconds, let it rip. Okay.
Love the sound of a microwave.
I'm going to give you a couple of stats here, and then I'm going to give you the bet. So this is basketball related. All right, you've got a player that has 18.8 points a game, 6 rebounds a game, 4 assists a game, shooting 28% from 3, and free throws shooting 80%. Or a player who's got 18.7 points per game, 5.5 rebounds per game, 3.6 assists per game, shooting 42% from the three-point line and 90% from the free throw line. Those are the two stats of Cooper Flagg and Con Knipple. My bet the Castle is, bet the Castle that Con Knipple is your Rookie of the Year over Cooper Flagg. I know that's crazy. I know people are going to say there's no way Cooper Flagg is generational. If you look at what what Con Knipple is doing for the Charlotte Hornets, you'll be very surprised. He's had a lot of really good games. True shooting percentage of 63, where Cooper's is more of like 54. Bet the Castle, Con Knipple is your Rookie of the Year.
That is a great one, actually, because you are telling the truth there. Knipple has been great for them, and Charlotte is a little bit better than they
Charlotte's
should
fun,
be.
Dan.
Well,
Charlotte's a fun
because of
team.
him, though. Because
Yes.
it's not Ball. It's because of him. He is a very good player, and he's very good early.
And just like that, lunch is made. 60 seconds.
Yeah.
Man.
Yeah, I'm going to open this up real
I
quick.
want to do this next week. I need to eat one of these things.
Yeah, save some of those for me. We all like the White Castle burgers around here. Nobody's got any complaints. So you go ahead and take. So that's good. Good work by you, Tony.
Thank you.
At least in part because you can't be proven immediately wrong by 50 points the way Zaz was. You just put it off in the distance, and you can't embarrass yourself.
Sprinkle it out there. Hey, April, June, someone will figure it out.
Yeah.
We'll win, we won't win. Doesn't matter. Whatever.
Yeah, well done. Excellently
I'm
done.
going to take a bite of this. All right, here
Yeah,
we go.
go ahead. Enjoy.
That's the good stuff. I'm going out there. I'm getting a bite too.
No, don't take this.
Don't let him
Never
have
mind.
it. Yes. So I want to get to a little bit of sound here because a lot of us were talking during the Olympics of the position that Steve Kerr was in, where Haliburton wasn't going to play and Jason Tatum. It was very controversial that Steve Kerr didn't play Jason Tatum at all in the Olympics. But it was funny to hear Haliburton on the Mind the Game podcast that LeBron does now. Who's he do it with? Is it Steve Nash now?
Yes, it
Is that
is.
who he does it with now? Here's Tyrese Haliburton telling the story of how it is. You know how Matt Damon, the line in... oh, man, what is the name of the poker movie?
Rounders.
Yeah, Rounders. Thank you. That Matt Damon says if you don't know who the sucker is at the table, then the sucker is you in poker. Here is Haliburton looking around the Olympic room where Steve Kerr is telling people that somebody's not going to play, and Haliburton realizing, wait a minute, is this me who's not going to play?
I have a great story. I've never told anybody this story before. We're at the Olympics. We're in the back doing film before the Olympics start. And before it starts, it's like, all right, we're going to have the team meeting where we acknowledge that all 12 guys cannot play. Steve starts talking about how everybody can't play. And Bron is talking about how, you know, in the 04 Olympics, I didn't really play that much. And you got to put your pride aside that, you know, it's about bigger than you. And Katie's over there, like, at the end of the day, with 12 All-Stars, everybody's good. You know, we're just trying to win, right? And I'm sitting there and I'm listening. I'm like, yeah. And as we start film, I'm like, but who are they talking about? Like, who are these? And I'm looking around. I'm like, oh, he ain't talking about him. He ain't talking about him. I'm like, oh, they talking about me. I'm sitting there. I'm like, oh, no, this is what it is. I was like, oh, I was sitting there. I'm watching film. I can't even pay attention to film. I'm like, damn, it's over. It's over, man. Oh, I ain't get no PT out here. It's over.
It really feels like the Pacers in the finals was 7 million years ago because of how bad they are, because he got hurt. So obviously that Olympic team was great. He was not the only one hurt by not playing. Here's Jason Tatum on the pivot telling a similar story.
I couldn't process it. I couldn't understand. I'm like, being first team All-NBA it's me and 4 other guys in the world. And at that time, the 4 other guys was all European. So it was like I was the only American. And then you get to the Olympics and it's like, I didn't play in 2 of the games. It was hard to process.
I've got some more Tatum sound here that I want to add to that because Tatum has given voice to the idea a couple of different times that he's not properly appreciated, not properly regarded by history, even though he's obviously a champion and an excellent player who has grown over the last few years before getting injured. Let's hear.
I agree. He is not appropriately looked at by history.
Let's get to the sound from Jason Tatum.
A lot of times, like, former players come back, and whether it be Rondo, KG, Paul, or Cedric Maxwell, who works for the team, or, they talk about the 86 Celtics, like, the thing they all have in common is they won. They won one or multiple championships. So as, you striving to be a great player, it's like, the career I had right now, if I had it with the Grizzlies, like, I would have a statue outside the arena.
Right.
But now I'm chasing people like Larry Bird, where the standard is so much higher. And it's like, you don't want to be the great player of the Celtics that, you the one guy that didn't win. Like,
chasing Larry Bird, the basketball player? Larry Bird? Jason, you're not chasing Larry Bird.
Larry Nance.
You're chasing Jaylen Brown. You're chasing Derek White. Those are the guys you're chasing because they played their best game in the NBA Finals. What is this inflated sense of self-worth?
I have a statue.
A statue in Memphis? What? I am honestly super, super pumped. I don't have to subject myself to Celtics basketball day in and day out.
I'll tell you what, both those players weren't playing during the Olympics. Tyrese Haliburton, I would make a case that Tyrese Haliburton, who is not going to play a single game in the NBA this year, based on what's happened to the Pacers, he should probably win MVP this year. And Jason Tatum, you go look what Jaylen Brown is doing with the Celtics right now, who are a pretty fun story, even though in the Zaslow Mansion it's always F the Celtics. Jaylen Brown is a better player than Jason Tatum is.
I like this take.
Chasing Larry Bird.
Build you a statue.
I don't think I've ever heard a player, like, just flat out during a career. I'd have a statue.
If I played on that team, I'd have a statue.
What do you think of life?
He's not wrong that if he had won a championship in Memphis, that is the kind of thing that gets you at a franchise. Like, that point that he's making is a good one, that if you're a championship-less franchise, the standard is obviously going to be higher in Boston.
I would too if I did that with Memphis, if I carried the team to a title, which is not something that he's done.
Right.
Like, you better ask for Jaylen Brown to be in Memphis with you. If you want that statue.
I just think this guy's got an overinflated sense of where he stands in history. If he's comparing himself to the Steph Currys and the LeBron James, it's ridiculous. In my opinion, Jason Tatum, not unlike, say, Jimmy Butler, is like he's got to be regarded as a consensus superstar.
Wait, he is.
Okay.
He is. He's look, Jason Tatum is one of the 5. Look, you guys are being really insulting, okay? You can't just say flatly Jaylen Brown is better than Jason Tatum. You can't say it flatly. You cannot. Jaylen Brown has always benefited from the fact that every team is game planning for Jason Tatum. Like that, the game plan on Jaylen Brown was take him to his left, take him to his left. You can't do that with Tatum.
Dan, I would agree, but this year has been the example of, like, and we've had obviously a big sample size of half the season of no Jason Tatum, and Jaylen Brown is balling.
That is correct. He's getting the usage rate, and he is also an excellent player in the league, and they won the championship because they have 2 excellent players, one of whom was decided to be the second option on that team because it all rotates around Tatum.
I agree. Well, no, not with that part. I thought you were talking about Derek White.
Derek White has also been excellent with that team, and I won't dispute what it is that you're saying, that Tatum's numbers statistically in these championship moments are down. I will tell you that the team has no chance of winning with Jaylen Brown as its number 1 option, anything meaningful. Like, they can surprise you.
But they did.
They can be better. No.
They did.
No.
When he won Finals MVP, Jaylen Brown was their number 1 option.
No, he was not their number 1 option. He was the one who played better. The usage rate was still Tatum's, Mike. Everything was being game planned around slowing and stopping Tatum, and Jaylen Brown was ready and willing and able to eat in that circumstance.
Can I admit something? I don't like him and it affects everything I say about him.
And the same is true of Zaslow.
I
And
have a very clear bias. I don't like Jason Tatum for a couple of reasons. He's a Celtic. Don't like them because it's also at the Celtics in my house too. But also he bothers me. I don't believe him to be as good as the hype. I just
And
don't
he's a
like him.
tryhard.
He's a he's a
Such
tryhard.
a tryhard.
He's like YouTubing like celebrations in the locker room. It's just not my deal, babe.
What are they gonna say now?
And it affects everything I say about him. I'm a hating ass hater when it comes to Jason Tatum.
We did it.
Enough with the statue
my
talk.
God, we did
Enough with the statue talk. Come on. He's not, to me, he's not a top tier player in the league.
Come
He's
on.
second tier.
No, that's not Greg.
I'm with him. Second tier.
Second
God,
tier.
I feel liberated.
Do
I
you
hate
want to do
him.
tier talk? Who's tier one?
No, as a person, seems like a fine guy. Seems like a good dad, but I just don't like. I don't like the idea of him.
I'll tell you who tier 1 is. The guy who's not on his team this year went from Eastern Conference champion to worst team. Tyrese Haliburton. That's a tier 1 player.
He was the most overrated player voted on by the players last year. So how can he be the MVP?
Guys, please look up for me. I have not looked at his numbers, but what Jason Tatum is averaging over the last couple of years and what his efficiencies are, because you're being really disrespectful with your biases. You don't have to think he's as good as he thinks he is, but you can't make Jason Tatum a second-tier player and be taken credibly in your opinions on basketball.
Let me ask you something. Can a first-tier player get no minutes and your team goes undefeated and wins a gold medal?
It's a bit of a rhetorical trick.
Yeah. Dan, I'm going to keep it real with you. There is no data that you can present to me that will change my mind on this player. I am entrenched because I don't like him. And while I pride myself on a man that admits when he's wrong, the day will never come with Jason Tatum. So you're just going to have to get used to that.
But to be clear, I am pleased with some of the progress we are making both in America and on this show. You are willing, after this very difficult hour that we've had together, you are willing to try and get everyone around the movement of when someone on television is yelling about someone choking in a big spot, you're willing to come with me and just explain that was really hard thing they were trying to do, and we shouldn't be this critical.
100%, unless that person is Jason Tatum.